Thomas Castellanos sat down with Pete Nakos from On 3 and gave us what I would call right now the quote of the offseason in college football. He said, quote, "They don't have Nick Saban to save them. I just don't see them stopping me." Now, I asked Pete Nakos after this, hey, what was the lead up to that quote from old Tommy C? Did you tee him up in a way to say, what do you think of Bama's defense now that Nick Saban's not there? Pete Nakos, according to him, just said, I asked him if he was excited to play Alabama. And then Tommy C came with the "they don't have Saban to save them" quote. Are you serious? And you're not tuned into college football year round? I mean, I know you are, but if you're the average college football fan, like that game now has, I think, even more juice than it did before. No, scratch that. I know it has more juice than it did before. There's a couple of ways to look at this thing. Depending on your vantage point on Florida State and on Thomas Castellanos, I think you view this differently. If you're a coach at Florida State, you're like, Tommy, first it's the no primetime thing, and now it's the they can't stop me because they don't have Nick Saban thing. Like, are we sure we want to go down this path? Like, let's keep it all in house. Let's speak softly and carry a big stick. Maybe say something like that in the team room to our guys, or maybe say that in the locker room, or say that in the meeting room to, Gus Malzahn, saying how, okay, I like this, and this. They can't stop me defensively, but like to put this out there for the world, Tommy, we're trying to have the element of surprise here, brother. We're trying to maybe be a little bit more subtle. And so Tommy threw that out the window. And that's how you feel if you're a Florida State coach. As a college football fan, as a college football connoisseur, I'm all the way here for this, dude. I'm all the way here for this for a couple of reasons. One, it's just like it's a fun storyline. It juices this game up even more, like I already said. But if you are just a competitive person and you have played competitive sports before, then you understand you can talk as much trash as you want to before the actual game, because guess what? At a certain point in time, you will then have to back it up. And Thomas Castellanos is not speaking from the vantage point of a bench warmer at Florida State where they're going to play week one and he'll watch the whole game, have the best seat in the house on the sideline, and the game will finish and he will never have recorded anything in the box score. Tommy C is going to start for you for Florida State for that game. So him saying this now, he has to eventually go prove it and back it up. And so I love the confidence. That's one part of this. Also, I love the fact that his entire locker room now has to meet the intensity and meet the standard that Thomas Castellanos has put out there for the entire public to consume. There is extra pressure on his teammates now to go back up Thomas Castellanos. There's extra stake in the game that maybe there wasn't even before, and it's Alabama, so there should be all the juice in the world around this game for Florida State. But now this forces everyone else to play to a different level to make Thomas Castellanos right. And I like that because you won 2 games last year at Florida State. So if you're a Florida State fan, I get the thought of, hey, let's maybe not, poke the bear too much after we won 2 games a season ago. Like let's worry about beating our G5 opponents before we go ahead and call out Bama. Hear that. But it can't get much worse. Don't you need a little bit of an edge? A little bit of swag, a little bit of fire? Isn't that what all the best teams have? Someone that's kind of ready to throw the gauntlet down and everyone else kind of follows suit? I'm all the way. I love this. I love this, and I think in some ways it could bode well for Florida State. I said this in our breakout video. I'm going to say it again. If you're looking at quarterbacks that gave Alabama trouble a year ago, gave them a little bit of, I don't know the right way to say this, that took them off balance a little bit, it was quarterbacks that had a skill set that resembled one of a Thomas Castellanos. Diego Pavia at Vanderbilt scored 40 on him. All right, I'm just saying. Jackson Arnold, not even the most mobile quarterback that Alabama played. When Oklahoma beat them, yeah, Jalen Miller threw it to their team a couple of times, but Jackson Arnold got busy on the ground, over 100 yards. I'm just saying, Thomas Castellanos and his skill set lines up with what those quarterbacks did well against Alabama that allowed them to win that football game. Even Nico Iamaleava at Tennessee. I mean, a little bit of wiggle to him. So what I will say, though, if you're Florida State, you did surrender whatever element of surprise you had going into this thing. There is no, it's Florida State, they won 2 games. No, you got Thomas Castellanos giving Kalen DeBoer and Kane Womack bulletin board material, and we're sitting here in the month of June. So again, I love this as a college football fan, as someone who gets to cover this sport for a living, which is hilarious. I also love this because it's just more juice, more excitement. I love it as a competitive person because you then have to go back it up if you're Tommy C and if you're his team. But one more thing I want to add here. Let's just say that Florida State wins this football game. And I know it's double-digit point spread favoring Bama. I understand all that. It may not be the most likely outcome, but let's just say that Florida State wins this football game. Think about the way that juices your team the rest of the way, that your quarterback called his shot and your team backed him up, in the confidence that you have from that moment beating Bama after telling everyone you're going to beat Bama more or less from that quote, from what I can gather. Think about the way that just instills a different kind of a pep in your step if you're Florida State. And Florida State needs a lot of the things. Pep in their step wouldn't hurt. Wouldn't hurt after what last year was. So go ahead and check that story out from Pete Nakos. That full conversation is phenomenal stuff. A lot of good quotes there from old Thomas Castellanos. But he has thrown the gauntlet down. This game will not be in prime time, but Florida State's quarterback is cutting a promo ahead of things that will make it feel very prime time-ish for those that are tuned in Tallahassee.